All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at this really powerful way to think about the entire 21st century. Instead of seeing it as just a series of random events, we're going to look at it as a massive design project. We're going to map out the next 75 plus years through a lens the source calls the civilizational operating system.
And this, right here, this is the core idea that flips everything on its head. The argument is that we've moved past the age of just trying to predict the future. We're in an era now where we are the architects, and the most important question we can ask is, what must we intentionally design? So, what is it we're actually designing? Well, we're not just talking about a new app or a slicker website. We are talking about the very foundation of society, its operating system. You know, the underlying rules, the values, the systems, the stuff that dictates how we live and work and connect on the most fundamental level. So what does this new operating system really look like? The source breaks it down into these two huge transformations that basically redefine the entire purpose of design itself. First, just look at how the target of design has been evolving. I mean, in the 20th century, it was all about physical products, things you could hold. Then that expanded to services, then to entire systems. But now we've arrived at what you might call the final boss, governance design. We are now designing the actual rules and structures that manage society. And this slide just brilliantly illustrates the second shift, our core values. Design used to be about making things easy to use, usability. Then it became about creating meaning. Now it's about shaping social norms. But the ultimate destination for this century, the fundamental, no-kidding challenge of societal survival, the stakes have literally never been higher.
Okay, so let's break the century down into four 25-year quarters. We'll start with the first quarter, the migration, which, believe it or not, is the period we've just lived through.
So in this first quarter, we basically migrated our entire lives, our work, our friendships, our identities, into this parallel world living inside our screens. And the achievements were incredible. But all of that came with some heavy design debt. That hyperconnection, while amazing in some ways, also led to attention collapse and all sorts of algorithmic bias. We gained a ton of efficiency, but we kind of traded away a piece of our personal agency, which set the stage for the challenges we're facing now. And that debt brings us right here to the second quarter, running from 2026 to 2050. The source frames this period not as some golden age of opportunity, but as a critical, high-stakes trial where we have to figure out how to coexist with invisible, autonomous intelligence. So, the crucial point of this new era is the question we're asking. It's no longer a technical question of capability, what can AI do? Instead, it's become a moral and governmental question of boundaries. What should AI be allowed to do? That is a huge shift in responsibility. During this trial, the source points to three massive challenges. First, labor. As AI automates tasks, human value isn't about productivity anymore. It's about defining the right problems to solve in the first place. Second, climate. Sustainability stops being an add-on and becomes the default setting for everything we design. And third, this crucial new field emerges, governance UX. This is about designing accountability and responsibility directly into our AI systems, making them transparent and fair from the ground up. The decisions we make during this trial are going to have staggering consequences. They will directly shape the almost sci-fi-like frontiers of the far future, which covers the entire second half of the century. So in the third quarter, from 2051 to 2075, technology is expected to cross a threshold where design is no longer just about convenience. It starts to redefine the very conditions of being human. I mean, we're talking about designing habitats on other planets, that's exodesign, and the standardization of brain-computer interfaces. Now, what's so interesting about this is how it elevates the role of a designer. All of a sudden, these deep philosophical questions, they're not just for a university classroom. When an AI agent is acting for you based on your intent, where does your will end and the machines begin? That becomes a design problem to solve. By the final quarter of the century, the source projects that between automation and new energy, the cost of just basic survival could approach zero. Now that solves one massive problem, but it creates a much deeper one. As materials scarcity fades away, a new kind of scarcity gets way more intense, existential scarcity, the struggle to find purpose. So the ultimate destination of design in the 21st century, it won't be about creating spectacular virtual realities or cooler gadgets. It'll be about something far more fundamental, what the source calls existential design. It's about designing the systems, the rituals, and the communities that help us hold on to meaning in a world where the daily struggle to survive is finally over.
Okay, so for our final part, let's bring all this back to right now, to our current moment. Because according to this blueprint, the next 25 years are the most important of the entire century.
The crucial takeaway is this. The second quarter that we are living in right now is not some golden age of opportunity. The source calls it a crucible, a trial by fire. It is in this period that we will forge the fundamental relationship between humanity and artificial intelligence for the next 100 years. And this means the role of the designer has to fundamentally change. They're no longer just making interfaces pretty. They become civilizational architects, and they're tasked with three critical functions: designing the foundational rules of our systems, figuring out who's responsible when things go wrong, and maybe most importantly, mediating the inevitable conflicts in our values. But ultimately, this framework isn't just for people who have desire in their job title. It leaves us with this really provocative and honestly empowering thought. We are all co-authoring this new civilizational OS, with every choice we make, every system we support, and every value we uphold. So the only real question left is, what part will you write?